some sort of alignment astrologically. Does that or astronomically make sense?
It can, if we allow it to. I think that, that regarding nature as a sort of oracle, as a reflection, as a place to cast our inquiry and reflect upon it. That I see that as the the value of that process. It's what the eclipse means to us mythologically will energize and propel the transformation that we co-create with it. The meaning seems to be, as Richard and Becca Tarnas are going to be talking about tomorrow here, the archetypal astrologers, that meaning is not actually encased in the brain any more than identity is encased in the brain. That it's an ecological process that occurs through relationships, and so meaning is distributed. And so, yeah, there is some sense in which there are external realities that we can recognize, acknowledge, and utilize as opportunities for personal transformation. But then again, you snooze, you lose. I don't know. I mean, if you want to get into it more, I think we've only got about 10 minutes and we got 5 more questions. But I will spend as much time as I need to get back here with everybody. I love you, and I'm here to have conversations. So please.
Hey, Michael. I was very struck and when you said it yesterday about how with VR things are going to become so fungible that you won't know what anybody said was real or was it, VR photoshopped, so to speak, and politicians can almost with off-the-shelf hardware take a video commercial and make their appearance 15% more Hispanic to appeal to a particular demographic if they want to.
Totally.
But because evolution works in such a paradoxical way, and also sophically said, no great gift enters the human coil without a curse attached. So we should expect these things to be both, a blessing and a curse. My idea about novelty as it intensifies, the outer edge of light and the outer edge of dark should both be expected to intensify, because novelty would be the amplitude between those two poles. Maybe what's going to happen is when people start doing that and they start spoofing each other on Facebook and all that kind of stuff, people are going to have an immunological reaction to screens and to any kind of electronic communication, and it's going to potentiate a return to face-to-face communication.
Definitely. I'm writing about this actually in my book, How to Live in the Future. It's there's an entire fictional intermission where I get into this exact thing, that we will return, as science fiction author Charles Stross did in his book Halting State. When someone hacks into your augmented reality system, you take the helmet off. It sounds great that we're all going to upload ourselves into the mainframe and live forever, but then you don't really die, but you can be hacked, so you're never really sure that you are who you think you are, and a lot of people are going to pull out of that system and prefer to live as, fucking apes, right? So that's why the future is just more of both. That's why we're going to have, there are going to be people that choose to go all the way back, de-language, and return into the forest, and more power to them if that's what they want, Future is about more space, more room, more opportunity for everything. Shanta, what's up?
Hey, so on the cybernetic angle of this kind of behavior, there's been some increasing neurobiological evidence that there are interactions between the entorhinal cortex and the hippocampus to build a simulated model of our reality that is allocentric. So we have this sort of it's not a first-person view, it's more like a third-person perspective, holographic model in our brains that I think I would suspect that someone like Elon Musk's idea for neural lace would tap into that. And so we're going to start to be able to compare the actual models that we build in our brains rather than the video that we create externally.
I'm into it. I'm really looking forward to the age of professional dreamers. I really want, it's because that's the thing is you're really going to want to follow I want to see what Android Jones is seeing when he's tripping,
a flat Earth.
Why wait for the painting, right? Come on, Android is just trolling us, by the way. I had a lengthy conversation with him unrecorded about the flat Earth thing, and he's just really trying to get us to loosen our fixation on dogma and external authority and orthodoxy, and to ask these questions for ourselves. What's up?
Well, I've come across that.
Can you get in a little closer?
Check. All right. I came across this weird experiment called the quantum eraser experiment. Erasure, I guess. Have you heard of it?
Nope.
So most of us will be familiar with the double slit experiment in quantum physics. So it's a particle, it's a wave, that whole awesome thing. But they built a version of this that had a little printer that said whether or not the particle could take a path A or B. And it turns out that that printer will have had, in the past, it will have printed the correct thing after the wave collapses. So time itself is then just this weird thing that gets projected from the moment.
Totally, yeah. Actually, the Princeton Engineering Anomalies Research Lab spent 27 years looking at the influence of intention and the outcome of random events. And some of their stuff, they found that they were seeing time symmetry in the outcomes of their experiments. That if you ran the random number generator and then locked that data in an encrypted file, and then 2 weeks later you had somebody try to steer the numbers up or down, that they were getting just as much success as somebody who was trying to steer the numbers as they were happening now or 2 weeks in the future. It's very, very curious. And actually, Lauren Carpenter, who's up here speaking at 2:30, talking about measuring, like using a sort of psychic seismograph of group quantum states, is in relation to the work that grew out of the Pear Lab, the Global Consciousness Project, where they're using random number generator matrix around the world and detecting disturbances in the force. And they're noticing the impact, the bow wave of globally emotionally significant events before they occur. Like 9/11, they saw it coming. They didn't know what it was,
Right.
but they saw this massive swell of coherence in their random number generator network. So it's true. I mean, we're at the cusp of lifting ourselves out of this naive cause and effect and into an understanding that time is an ocean of interpenetrating wave fronts. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just curious on what your thoughts on the relationship between time and like black holes. And this is like not really scientifically based, just a little idea I had in my head. But as research continues on black holes, do you think there'd be like a possibility that we would use it to manipulate time for us on Earth?
Oh, totally. Oh, totally. There's Arthur C. Clarke's third law. He says, if an elderly distinguished scientist, maybe not the third law, it's one of his three laws. He says, if an elderly distinguished scientist tells you something is impossible, he's probably wrong. Right? Because the future both is and isn't. It's all the things that we can imagine, all the things we can't.
Thank you. You presented an internalism sort of perspective on time, and I'm wondering if you could give us your thoughts on whether that means that the future is fixed and how it would not be fixed if it already exists in some sense. And then you also mentioned that there were multiple dimensions of time, and I'm wondering if that might be a way to get out of the possibility of it being fixed.
Right. So the introductory chapter of my book, How to Live in the Future, which you can find on medium.com at Michael Garfield, or I'll email that to you if you want. Get into that about, that when people talk about the future, what they're doing is they're looking at the horizon of this moment, and they're saying that over there is real, and the other 359 degrees are not, right? And then we just turn slightly and we get a different horizon, a different point on the horizon, right? So I really do, I think if you are to take an eternalist stance on this, that it's not so much that we are, going downstream to a particular destiny, so much as that we are capable of steering ourselves on terrain, and that we're, the mechanism for that steering is our ability to fold space-time through the collection of attention on particular outcomes.
So does that mean we're being if you think that the future is influencing the present, that we're being influenced by multiple possible futures?
Yeah, it's not like one wormhole that's drawing us in. It's like all of these different fields of possibility. if you're into the folklore like of exopolitics, right? They talk about so many of these aliens visiting us